I am Dave Henning. I'm talking today with Daveed Hollander, owner partner with Coldwell Banker Dominical in the beautiful southern zone on the Pacific Coast, which he has called home for many, many years. He's also the master franchisor partner with Real Estate Affiliates Group, now with 11 franchise owner locations throughout Costa Rica. Daveed is a certified international property expert. Quite frankly, he's got an amazing record of unmatched excellence as a global luxury ambassador, member of the National Association of Realtors, also with an expansive knowledge of commercial properties and boutique hospitality markets throughout Central America. Daveed, welcome and thank you for being with me today.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thanks for that introduction. I appreciate being here today.
So let's talk. You and your family actually fell in love with this amazing Dominical community, and you've been there a long time. So what would you say really stands out to you about what makes your town so special that our friends across North America and around the world may not be aware of?
Wonderful. Yeah. Actually, my wife is Costa Rican. She's from a small or a large town actually called San Isidro, which is about 30 minutes away from Dominical. Dominical, we kind of consider now, and the name of the area has been changed to the Ballena Coastline. And what that includes is the Chamber of Commerce actually did that. The idea was that includes Uvita, Dominical, all the way down to Ojochal. And what you have is you have this amazing, beautiful coastline that is kind of attached by a road that goes all along the coast. And all along that coast, you've got these great little towns that are, some are smaller than others, some are bigger. You've got great beaches. It's an area where the whales come and breed every year. We've got great scuba diving, phenomenal little restaurants. And you can really be at the beach at one day in the morning, and then you could drive within 30 minutes and be at one of the highest peaks in Costa Rica, or about an hour, and you can be at 5 of the best waterfalls in Costa Rica. Well, I mean, not the best, but amazing waterfalls. And then you can be at the highest peak, which is called Mount Cherripo, Costa Rica. So you can really go from beachfront all the way up to, like, I think it's almost 4,000, 5,000 feet or even higher. To an amazing area, which is just beautiful. So if you want to be at the beach and hot, or you want to get up to the mountains, become cool. The small town of Dominical itself has grown at a very slow pace over the last couple of years. I've been here about 21 years now, and it is continuing to grow at a pace that's comfortable for everybody. So you've got new restaurants coming in, but it's still a small town. So it's a very bohemian, small feeling. It's got a great farmer's market every Friday, which is amazing. They have music and vegetables and everything you can imagine to buy. We've also got a great organic store, which we call our Whole Foods. And then you've got the array of different kinds, like Indian food and things like that going on. There's great surf, there's great mountain biking, there's great dirt biking. It's a phenomenal place to come for paragliders. And at any given night, you're not just going to the town Dominical. A lot of areas in Costa Rica, you live and you're in that pocket and you don't get out of that pocket. Here, like I said, we're in the center of, you go 30 kilometers north of us, you've got Mount Antonio, which is amazing national park, the marina, another array of great restaurants, things going on. And to the south of us, we have Ojochal, Uvita, which has all the beaches and everything and restaurants as well. So there's just so much to do in a small area. And then within 2 hours south of us, you have the whole Osa Peninsula, which opens up to you. Pavones, Montepalo, Golfito, another large marina project coming into play there. So we're kind of that in between. You've got the Golfito Marina, the Mount Antonio Marina, and then you've got Jaco, which is about 2 hours north of us now. So in that stretch, I kind of consider us like the little French Riviera. You've got where the mountains come down to the ocean and then they get real steep. You get amazing views, that great jungle atmosphere, which you would think of Costa Rica. And it's just a beautiful place to be.
A good friend of mine, speaking of Uvita, he moved here from California, a Navy veteran, and he had a great experience using your Coldwell Banker office there to purchase his house. He's got great things to say about you guys and what you could do. And when you mentioned whale watching, I've been privileged to go out to Monterey Bay in California a few times. So I'm anxious to get down there and see the whales again down in your area. That'd be pretty cool. So
yeah, it's an amazing. I'm sorry, I was going to say it's an amazing experience. I come from California myself, did my undergrad University of Santa Cruz, and we used to love to see the whales and the wildlife out there. But here it's very upfront and close. When the whales are here and they're bringing their babies in, it's an amazing venture.
Cool, very cool. So, tell me, a little bit more about you're a master franchisor partner, and I know for a fact that I've done my homework here. You actually take really great care and responsibility for providing really excellent support, training, resources, and encouragement to your franchise partners across the country, and to all of their agents, which are many agents. And I've owned a couple of franchises myself, and I know how important that is. So tell us a little bit about that. Why would it be now would be really a great time to visit Costa Rica and discover what makes Coldwell Banker such a well-loved and dedicated group of men and women professionals with a heart for service and building relationships. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I've been doing this, like I said, for about 20 some odd years. And one of our goals when we bought the master franchise was to create a new system and become the leaders of the industry in Costa Rica. So we put in place back end systems like you would do in the United States or Canada or other places, where we actually run an internal MLS. So all of our offices communicate between each other in the back end. Costa Rica is still about an 80 to 90% open listing market, which we all take the same listings. But in our case, that other 20% or 10% that becomes exclusive from other offices, we take those listings, put them in our system as conjunctual. So our offices have a really good up-to-date website. So if you're looking around Costa Rica, a lot of times you're going to get outdated information. You're going to get things that aren't up to date. You're going to get things that are maybe incorrect pricing that haven't been updated. We've really put ourselves in the forefront of technology where, for example, on a listing, every 45 days, a seller gets an email automatic from the system, and it says, has your listing sold? Have you changed in price? Do you want to change anything? So we get updates from sellers on a consistent basis. And then after 1 year of life of the listing in our system, if it's still there after a year, not sold, what happens is the listing actually gets taken off the websites, and the agent is, in essence, forced to contact the seller. So in the case they haven't been in contact in a year, and ask them, have you sold? What's going on? Do you want to change? Do you want to do pictures? And so in order to update it and get it active in the system again, they have to actually have personal contact, which is great. Additionally, we have a large spider web of marketing that we do. We don't ever claim to be the best. I think Costa Rica, without a true MLS, it is a hard market. And even though Costa Rica has a licensing board, and I also sit on that board of licensing for GAR, it's not required per se in Costa Rica. So there are some requirements to sell real estate, but you don't have to actually have a license. We do require our agents and people that work through Coldwell Banker to have license. We feel that it's the forefront of the future, and people are starting to become very active in doing that as well. It helps to control the system better so that we can do better listings, do better work for everybody, and really manage that process from A to Z for you and your client or whoever's coming in. So, like I said, we really pride ourselves on being on the forefront. We'd like to say that we create things, we elevate the market. For a long time, people were taking real estate pictures with their iPhones, and we just said, hey, we can't accept that. If you want us to post your listings on our websites, we need them to be professional, or at least with a real camera. So now you see, even in my small market in Dominical, or my smaller market, most of the local offices, everybody has some kind of photographer, or they're paying for someone to come out to houses on the more luxury home and realm, things like that. So but definitely the whole market, not just us, but everybody's elevating the way real estate is done in Costa Rica. And you're starting to see that shift. I mean, you're starting to see better quality homes getting built. You're starting to see better quantity of homes. Construction materials are completely different than we had 20 years ago. And so our goal is to elevate our agents by, one, training them. We have a full-time trainer that trains 4 days a week. They can do one-on-one training, or they could do group training. We also have the trainer that goes into an office and opens, when they open up a new office, and they give them examples on how to market, how to hire people, all of the above. And then on top of that, we offer a full platform that will also offer a website. So when you buy a franchise with us, you get everything from A to Z. You can basically get a website that's ready to go. You just got to put your information into it, your stuff, click the buttons, go in the back-end system, and then you get full access to our executive staff, which we also do coaching, one-on-one coaching, and we do group coaching for areas. So if somebody wants to become a luxury agent or a commercial agent, being that we own the luxury division and commercial division and residential, we can really guide them through that process to make them. So we haven't gone out there and sold a lot of franchises. That wasn't our goal. Our idea was to make a family. I like to call it a tribe. So my goal and my process has always been that, I want to be accessible. So people a lot of times say, well, you're always so busy. Not that I'm busy. I'm more just scheduled, right?
Right.
I'm not the kind of person that, I might have a free night, but normally if you call me at 5 o'clock and say you want to do dinner tonight, I'm usually pretty scheduled, just because it helps me to keep that level with everybody that I want to be, which is really become accessible. So, if you text me at 3 a.m. in the morning, I'll respond to you if I'm awake. I will get back to you. But I also like to schedule my times out. If I'm going to meet with you and have dinners, I'm usually scheduled out because I do a lot of travel to the offices. And we also do a lot of inside visits where we get together as groups and or go to the offices. So we like to consider ourselves a full service. We are an international company with a boutique feeling to it, just because we are in Costa Rica. But we use that international service and that spider web to take our listings and really get them out there in that international level. So we feel that we can do a great job with most listings anywhere in the country.
And you've got, speaking of cutting edge technology, I know that some new ideas and programs were shown at the big Coldwell Banker National meeting in California, and one of those was this idea, or these services that are kind of new additions. One of which being the idea that somebody, while they're thinking about buying, they could get just a quick snapshot estimate of what the seller what the property is worth. And I've understand that that's something that you're going to be developing, the Coldwell Banker Costa Rica version of that, where if someone is thinking about, they visited here, they go back home to the States or to Canada, and they're thinking about, maybe I'd really like to, or they live here actually. I got that wrong. And they want to know, well, if I want to sell my property, what can I expect? Is it true that typically somebody from out of the country coming to Costa Rica, it might take as much as kind of 6, 7 months to think through if they want to move here? But I'm asking two different questions, so I apologize for that.
Yeah,
So
that's okay. I got it. Yeah, you're asking two different questions. The first question is, yes, we are able. We've been collecting different data for over 20 years, so we're able to really go in. We track sales that are even ours. Any listing that goes out of the system or gets marked in the system as sold, the agents are required to put a number in there. Whether they know it or not, they can usually guesstimate close. So I'm not going to say the system's perfect, but it is better to have at least something in there so we can say, in this market in Tamarindo over the last 5 years, 2-bedroom condos with no ocean view, walking into the beach, on an average sold for X amount, right? And we're able to get that information, which most people can't do. We can also, on our back-end system, really manage larger projects because our database system and the way it's set up, it tracks sales, it tracks contacts, it tracks listings, it does everything for you on one back-end system. The second part of your question is, I think, the average buy time of a buyer. So traditionally in Costa Rica, over $1 million or so in a home, the average time on market usually was about 6 months to a year and a half. And that was simply because Costa Rica was a market where the average buyer was about 1.2 to 2.5 years. They would come to Costa Rica, they would travel to the north, they would travel to the south, they'd fall in love with one of those areas, then they'd go back, their kids or family go back to school, and then they would come back again. And so there was a process they went through until they purchased. Post-COVID, that's kind of changed. People are a lot more comfortable in Costa Rica. I actually just sat in a meeting with a luxury convention online certification program yesterday, and we had the same conversation. And the idea was that we've hit a market now where people are actually buying things pre-sale. They're buying them sight unseen. And that's because Costa Rica, in my point of view, has become like the Hawaii of Central America. It's very tropical. It's easy. You can own property right out. You can own it in your personal name. You can own it in a corporation. So people feel very comfortable, especially people coming from North America. When you're talking about Americans or Canadians, almost anywhere in North America, it's about a 5-hour flight, call it 6 hours to get here, whether you're on the East Coast or West Coast. And then from Toronto direct here is a 5, 6 hour flight, if I remember right. And there's pretty much direct flights from almost any hub going from all those different states. And so, being accessible, being comfortable, and then being that, we don't have a military, and being that we're an area where it's just an easy transactional thing and you own the title, people feel very comfortable buying here. So I think that's switched our market. So post-COVID now, you've seen homes and inventory moving a little bit faster, not as fast as the US, things there will move, boom, boom. Here, we're still about 3 to 6 months, sometimes quicker, depending if it's a good deal or if it's a really good product. So I would say new, modern, luxury homes, things like that seem to be moving, call it within 30 to 60 days. And sometimes prices that are higher than they might be, but they're not getting triple, quadruple offers on them. It's usually one offer and really close to asking or a little bit below asking price.
I've got to give a shout out to one of your excellent agents specializing in super customer service up in the cocoa market. I was just interviewing and talking to him. He actually told a lady who is a Costa Rica resident, I can have your property sold in a week. And she kind of like, oh, really? In a week? Come on, get serious. And sure enough, of course, with his connections with other realtors in the area, and very, very generous in his marketing approach, it sold in less than a week, and it actually got more than what it was listed for. So that was an incredible true story testimonial of the quality of people that are working, attracted to work with Coldwell Banker, as well as what you guys are doing everywhere. So I really appreciate sharing that story.
Wonderful.
Let me ask you this: if people are curious to learn more with what's happening in Costa Rica, real estate opportunities, you have a newsletter that they can register for. Is that right?
Yeah, so we send out our database, and our backend system is a very interactive system. So you can actually go to our websites and sign up via your Facebook or just Gmail or your email account and a password. And behind there, you can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up to get updates on listings. So you could put in a range. You could say, I'm looking for a home between $500,000 and $700,000 in specific markets, or in a larger range, like a region like Punta Arenas or the northern region. And what it'll do is it'll begin to send you updates when things sell in that price range, or new listings come in, or price changes happen. And then on top of that, you can sign up for the newsletter, which will give you new and updated listings, sometimes information on what's going on in different areas. And then we also have all our social media accounts, which you can follow on there and see a lot of updates as well. Now,
just to clarify on that, would be best for them to go to ColdwellBankerCostaRica.com, which is a way for the information to get to the appropriate office. Where would be the best place to sign up for that newsletter?
Yeah, I mean, ColdwellBankerCostaRica.com, or any website you go to that's a Coldwell Banker site. So you could also go to Dominical Realty, which is my local corporate office. On that site, you're going to see listings for the entire country. Like I said, everybody feeds into one area. So to specifically sign up on my sites would be DominicalRealty.com. ColdwellBankerCostaRica.com would be the master franchise, which is our conglomerate of everybody. And so it just depends on where you're going or where you're looking at, I guess.
So the big question is, if you're looking at a particular area, just type that into your search bar and go there and get hooked up and signed up to keep up to date with what's going on. I'm speaking with Daveed Hollander with Coldwell Banker Costa Rica, and it's great to be with you today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dave. Have a good day, huh?